Hi people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new painting video. I haven't done a painting video in so long. I know I said in my last painting video that there wouldn't be as big of a gap in between that video and my next painting video as there was between my last one and the one before, but I'm so sorry. And here I am with a new painting video. There's no specific reason as to why. I just didn't prioritize painting as much as like my other videos with everything else going on in my life. So anyway, basically, today I just decided to paint. I just woke up from a 3-hour nap, so I apologize if I look like the carrot lady from Wallace and Gromit. You know what I mean, with my big hair and everything? So anyway, I have no idea what I'm going to paint, which is great. Typically, I don't really enjoy like uncertainty or surprises, but I think I don't really mind it if I can control it, if that makes any sense. So let's get to painting. So I've chosen my colors. I've chosen this scarlet, this green, and this blue. I remember once in one of my earlier painting videos, I had an idea to only choose like 3 or 4 different colors, but then I ended up switching my mind, and I definitely ended up choosing like 5 or 6 different colors. But maybe this time I'll actually stick with it, you know, and just use these and just like mix and match or whatever. So yeah, these are my other options, by the way, if you're new to my painting like era or whatever. But yeah, that's what they look like so far. And here's my canvas. So there you have it. So as you can see, I've started with the green, and that's the exact shade that I'm using. So far it looks like this. I'm so excited to see like the direction of what I'm gonna do next and everything. Filming these videos is such like less stressful than filming a booktube video, because when I'm filming a booktube video, sometimes I think that I worry too much about how something is going to be perceived, which is why like typically I exclude like all the 3-star books that I've been reading in between all the 4-star books that I've read. You know what I mean? Like sometimes in my recent reads videos, you'll notice that like the majority of them are 4 stars, and then there's like 1 or 2, actually usually 1 3-star read, even though I have read more books than that in the past week or whatever amount of time between. You know what I mean? It's just that sometimes, and I talked about this in my 2023 reading wrap up, but like I'm afraid of like disappointing people or whatever. Even though I read a lot of books that no one's ever heard of, sometimes when I rate a really popular book really low, I'm afraid people are gonna come for me or whatever, which is weird because that means that I think that my videos are more popular than they actually are, which they're not. Actually though, when I was deciding to make this painting video, I thought about how my first painting video was when I finally changed or fixed the sound or the audio on my videos and made it so much better. And I thought that it would improve like the amount of viewers that I have or whatever, and it didn't. Like it honestly didn't at all, which like I'm glad it didn't get worse necessarily, but my views haven't really changed at all, which is kind of disappointing. But also I'm trying to not care what people think, but also like I would love to have my videos monetized. I really would, selfishly. But like also sometimes like I don't think it's really gonna happen. You know what I mean? Anyway, the point is, this is where I'm at. I'm really excited to continue. So I chose a new color. I think I'm going in the order of like left to right of how I've like put the colors down on the easel. So basically I'm going green, red, blue, obviously. So anyway, this is what it looks like. I realized when I started the red that red and green together make brown, so I tried really hard to not actually let the colors like touch each other, if that makes any sense. But also I don't know where I'm going from here, so I guess I have to do the blue from like all the corners now. So that'll be exciting because the colors will definitely collide. But also green and blue together and red and blue together is a much more satisfying combination than red and green. So yeah, I'm glad I started it like this. So anyway, let's get started. So another update with the blue is that this is what it looks like now. I think that I have less blue paint than I have with the red and the green, so I think I'm automatically going to start mixing the red and the blue, I was just thinking that, like, I wonder in the future if people will see this piece of art and start to analyze it. But again, that's me thinking that, like, my art will be more famous than it actually is because I'm just like an ordinary person or whatever. I'm not famous in any sense of that word. Although when I was younger, I thought that I would be. Not by this age or anything like that, but I just thought that my books would be what made me famous and what I will be remembered for or anything like that. I mean, the authors that I looked up to when I was like 11 or 12 are now so incredibly problematic. So that's not good. But like, some of them weren't, you know what I mean? Maybe you know which authors I'm referring to. But anyway, the point is, when I was younger, I thought that I would be the most remembered for my writing and my books. But you can't really control how people will remember you. You know what I mean? I don't know. There are some things that I hope people will remember me by, such as being like pro-Palestine, pro-abortion, pro-LGBT, because those things are like so important to me personally. But like other things, I'm not sure how people will remember me exactly. But I don't know why I'm talking about that as if I'm dying anytime soon or anything like that. But anyway, the point is, this is where I'm at now. And yeah, basically, I was just thinking of what kind of legacy I'm going to have in the future. I don't know why though. Anyway, if you're thinking that this painting reminds you of the first painting video I ever did, I got that feeling too. And in case you weren't there when that video came out, which was almost 2 years ago, I think. Actually, no, it was at the beginning of 2023. And now we're at the beginning of 2024. This is what that painting looks like. So yeah, I guess they're kind of similar. So yeah, there's that. So I've started combining the red and the blue, and I've created this like weird purple color. I don't know why I said weird. It's like a regular, like ordinary purple. It's definitely way more red heavy than blue heavy. But anyway, this is where I'm at now. I love that these updates in these videos like range from like, this is what I've painted now and this is what it looks like, to like, what will my legacy be like? It's like watching a Brittany Blowski podcast episode, which, by the way, I love her podcast so much. Like, I think that she is so intelligent and smart. I love that she ranges from talking about something super deep and meaningful to something that's like not as deep and meaningful. You know what I mean? I think that influencers are sometimes like stereotyped as being dumb or not smart or not super intellectual, just because a lot of them have a job that kind of requires almost no talent. You know what I mean? I don't really know if that makes any sense. And almost a lot of them, like, didn't go to college or dropped out of college or whatever. And I know that there's a stereotype that having a college degree makes you smarter than other people, which is not necessarily true. And I say that as someone with a degree myself, but I feel like most influencers just don't have like nuanced conversations necessarily. And I know that having a college degree is such a privilege, and I know that so many people can't afford it. And I'm not saying that influencers don't work hard and don't have like actual talent for their jobs, because they do. And I would never ever be an influencer. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be in the next 5 years or 10 years or whatever. And like I said earlier, I would selfishly like my YouTube videos to be monetized. So it sounds like I'm just like being contradictory or whatever. It's just that I know that I don't necessarily have the talent or the hard work or the luck or whatever that it comes with when it comes to being an influencer full time. You know what I mean? And for me, it would probably be easier to have like a regular, for lack of a better word, like quote unquote 9 to 5 job or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not trying to like bash on influencers or anything like that. It's just that I was trying to say that like I know there's a stereotype that influencers are dumb, and I was trying to explain why I think that stereotype like comes from. You know what I mean? Brittany Blowski is so incredibly talented and intelligent and so small and so funny and so charismatic, and she's also so kind and awesome, and I truly love her so much. I have only started like really getting into her recently, like when her podcast, The Broski Report, started. So it's only been like a few years, maybe 1 year and a half. I can't quite remember. Or maybe it's been less than a year. Anyway, I said recently that I love her as much as she loves Beyonce, which if you listen to her latest episode, that's quite a lot. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. So this is where I'm at. So there's that. So I started combining the green and the blue, as you can kind of see here, and I just drew a great stripe across the middle. The middle of paintings is always hard for me because I've found that I've always started the painting from the corners or whatever. So like when I get to the middle, I like don't know what to do. But anyway, now that we're on the topic of stereotypes, I think it's fascinating to think about like where stereotypes originate from and where they come from, because stereotypes influence our thinking and our knowledge so much. And I just love that part. You know what I mean? I love the psychology of history and the psychology of like how we think and how that influences the way that we talk and interact with other people, and how that's changed maybe over time with culture, and how culture also changes and evolves over time. I don't really know if that makes any sense, but I talked about this in my last painting video, I believe, and I love like media literacy and history and how it all ties together and how it all like influences, again, like the way that we think and the way that we evolve and change and like just operate and interact with other people, like in general. I don't know. Psychology is so fascinating to me, and it's not something that I realized fascinated me until I got to college, because it wasn't something I really studied prior to that. Anyway, I learned about confirmation bias and stuff like that, and then I started seeing it everywhere, which is how the frequency illusion really works. But anyway, sorry about all that. The point is, this is where I'm at now with my painting, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do next, but I think I've kind of also lost the plot of where I started with, so maybe I should try to do that again. You know what I mean? Like, go back to the original covers and stop with this mixing, even though I also like some of this mixing, but not all of it. I don't know. Anyway, let's just see where this goes. So I started the green again, like I did at the beginning. However, these stripes that I've added are much darker than the original ones, and I think it's because like the other paint below it hasn't completely dried, so that's what it looks like now. But yeah, it's very green blue heavy, which means that I'm going to go back to my roots and remember where I came from, the red and the blue, but mostly the red, because it's very green blue heavy, so the red needs to make a comeback. Or maybe I should just choose like another brighter yellowy color, maybe? I don't know. I know I said originally that I was going to stick to these three colors, but I might change my mind. As my dad would say when I was younger, I'm very fickle, but I don't think he meant that as a compliment. So anyway, there's that. So I added red, and this is where we're at. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the end result is going to look like, but I know I'm not done yet. So yeah, I love how this looks. I love how like the dark colors are like combining with each other, and they become like darker the more they interact with each other sometimes. But like other times, like with this stripe, for example, I added more red of the original color on top of it, so it's like brighter than the other stripe, like that stripe. You know what I mean? I don't really know if that makes any sense at all, but yeah, I am actually really curious as to how people are going to analyze this in the future, even though, like, I don't know if people will or not. I don't know. Everything that I'm talking about, like, art always, like, is situated or is influenced by the times that we are in, if that makes any sense. Especially with, like, dystopian stuff. I don't know. Hannah from A Clockwork Needle, who is one of my favorite booktubers of all time, did this deep dive on the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and it's so incredibly, like, good and impactful. And basically she said that if dystopian writing does not reflect the time that we're in, like in modern day, then it's cheap lighting and it's fake and it means nothing and it just stands by itself and it's just so poorly written. And she articulated that way better than I did, but I literally love her so much. She is so cool. I love her videos. I love her personality. Like, she is so awesome. Anyway, basically, this is where I'm at now. I just love, like, the swaths of paint that I've been doing. I don't know. I think it would be so cool to have my art in a museum one day and just have people stare at it and think that it's so pretty. I know I said earlier that I've always dreamed of like being a famous author and being famous for my writing, but also I think it's important to like pivot and like not have my identity always defined by like one thing. Maybe some people enjoy that and like enjoy to like, I don't know, pigeonhole themselves. But for me, I think it's really important to not pigeonhole myself and like pivot. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense. One time, Lolly Hernandez came to my school, my alma mater, like last year. I've graduated, but like I also don't want to say which college she like went to, so I don't know. I don't want to say what college I went to, obviously for privacy reasons, but also I don't go there anymore, so it's not like I'm like doxing myself. But basically, she talked about how gymnastics has always defined her for like a really, really long time, and it's hard to find like an identity outside of that. At least that's what I got from it, and it was really inspiring and it was super impactful for me because I've had certain things define me my whole life, like reading and writing, and I think it's important to have like different identities outside of that, and I think it's really important for me to not pigeonhole myself and realize that like at the end of the day, the person who controls what defines me isn't everybody else, it's myself. So anyway, painting is also one of the things that defines me because I think that art and media and history, like I've talked about before, ad nauseum, I don't think I use that properly actually. It's just so cool and it's so fascinating. So this video is gonna be really long, actually. Sorry about that. But anyway, this is really important to me, so I don't really care what you think. If you think it's too long or boring or whatever. This is where I'm at, and I'm really happy with it. So for the finishing touches on this painting, I decided to use that pink cover. This one, the rose red, I don't know if you can tell completely. Sorry, the shadow of my phone is kind of like distracting. But anyway, I decided to use that cover. Going back full circle to my very first painting video, I think I remember talking about how when I was younger, I didn't like the color pink because I associated it with like femininity and whatever, and I was navigating a lot of internalized misogyny when I was younger. But what I've grown to realize is that like femininity and masculinity and androgyny, in my opinion, is very subjective, and you can define it however you want and how it like pertains to your specific identity, because at the end of the day, your identity is subjective in itself, and sometimes our identities are like based off of the perception of ourselves from other people, if that makes any sense. But also at the end of the day, like it's who you are, and who you are is determined by yourself. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but like in our conversation of identity, here is the final painting. I think it looks really pretty. I think it kind of reminds me of like a stained glass window or something like that. Like it's so cool to look at. So awesome. And I love how the pink is interacting with the other colors. Like it's different shades of pink, especially like up in that corner, the way it interacts with the blue and the ways that like it interacts with the other colors in general. I don't know if that makes any sense, and if it's related to a conversation about identity and how the ways in which our identity is shaped and molded by the people around us, whether it's conscious or unconscious. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but like that's on theme for this video. So anyway, I don't know if anything I said in this video made any sense, or if this video was just like a disjointed combination of all my run-on thoughts, but that's the way my neurodivergent brain works, and maybe this doesn't make any sense to anybody else except for myself. But anyway, the point is, that's my finished painting. I hope you enjoy it. So in conclusion, these are the 4 colors that I ended up using. So that's my color palette, and that's the painting. It looks so pretty. I'm so unbelievably like proud of it. So there's that. So in conclusion, I said so many different things in this video. This video feels very, very disjointed, as I said earlier, but I do genuinely hope that you enjoyed it. I might make more painting videos in the future, which I know I said last time as well, which was like 5 months ago. So I hope that I will make another video within the next 5 months, actually in less than 5 months, so the gap between painting videos won't be as large as last time, which I know I said last time as well. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the sunflower emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!